You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Please give us a like, share, subscribe to the YouTube account. We are on www.dadswholifofficial.com. All the podcast links are in there. We also have an apparel line. We're on IG as Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on Facebook, Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Dads Who Lift fitness group on Facebook that's Dads Who Lift Official. A group of 30,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be their best selves and staying fit. If that's something you're into, please check it out. But we do this stuff for free, guys, so please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate your support.
You are now tuned into the Dads Who Live podcast. You have your host, Tyler Gata.
Co-host, Joel Staley.
And we have on special guest, Caleb Moran.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So I wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about a couple different things. Caleb's got some really cool stuff going on too that we're going to touch on as well. But I wanted to start with the topic and talk about pivoting in life. And Caleb coached me a while back, and this was one of the big things I remember that we had talked about when he coached me. And he actually has a full, you could probably plug it, I'm sure it's up there somewhere, but you have a full lecture on pivoting as well that you did, a church sermon, I believe, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I gave a talk on pivoting versus patterns. A lot of times we have patterns in our life that we go through, but there's some pivots you can take in the middle of those and go to a new direction. So yeah, absolutely, man.
So I really wanted to have Caleb on because he's got a great perspective on this topic. But the reason that I want to bring this topic up and talk about this topic is pivoting happens all the time for me. I mean, I'm always pivoting. I think that's part of not failing, is figuring out what works, what doesn't work. You make a pivot, head towards what works, you know? It also gives me like a confidence in my life that I know that no matter what, I'm going to succeed because I know that I can change direction, and that's okay. You know, even like, so I'm talking about my coaching program as an example that I'm building out right now. You know, people have said, aren't you worried about it? You know, what if it doesn't work out? What if this, what if that? And it's like, no, dude, I'm not worried about it, because even if my target audience, even if the audience that I have set right now doesn't take off and hit, I know that I can pivot and make adjustments and find the audience it's going to hit, and it's going to work either way. Like, it might not work right away, but I know it's going to work either way, and I'm confident in that. And so I just had something happen in my one of my main companies, my Lawnstone Landscape company, recently within the last month. And we basically had this big property that we got for snow removal. I'm not going to go into like all the details, but basically ended up being, it's a big property. So I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting ready to take care of this property. Ended up being said that it was going to be one thing, ended up being another thing that turned into another thing. And it just wasn't what we signed up for. It wasn't working out. It wasn't what it was explained to be. It wasn't what I was told it was going to be. And we weren't set up for what it turned into. So we weren't best suited to take care of it in the long run for what it turned into down the road. And the whole situation was just kind of fucked from the beginning. And it was a moment where I had to either take an L or pivot. And I decided that this moment, even though I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting ready for this property, and I made some of it back. We had a couple big ass snows that we did there. So it's not like I'm out. We probably broke even or made a little bit of money all in all through. But still, there was a point where it was like, all right, is this what's best for my company? Is this what's best for my guys? Is this what's best for the future? Is this what's best for down the road? And I had to make a tough call, a really tough call, because it was a really big property, really nice property. Is this best suited for us right now? And I had to make this call, and I decided that it wasn't. So we ended up parting ways, and we did it respectfully. No blood spilled, no bad impressions left. I mean, we took care of it, found a replacement, and then we parted our ways and moved forward. But this was a pivotal moment, and I look back, and it's like, I could have either taken that as a loss and chalked it up as an L and, just move forward. I've been upset about it or down about it or, pissed off about it. Or I can actually pivot and say, all right, how can I learn from this? What am I going to do from this situation differently next time? And how am I going to take my equipment and my guys and make it better and move forward? And it just so happened, man, and this is how it usually works every time. Whenever I come to a pivotal moment, if you actually seize the opportunity and look at it as a pivotal moment, there's usually multiple other doors that have opened, right?
Yeah.
And so it's usually, for me in my experience, it's not like, hey man, this door closed and all the other doors are closed. What had happened for me was, this door closed and it needed to close. It was best suited for us for it to close. But then these doors over here were open. And so the problem that most people have is you have to be able to see that those doors are open. And if you're stuck in that mindset of a loss and a failure, derived on the negative, you're never going to see that those doors are open. But if you can see it as a positive and a good thing, like, hey, what is this teaching me? Where is this leading me? What's the next opportunity? What's the next move? And you can notice that those other doors are open, then everything works out. So for me in this situation, it just so happened that I had another huge account that I was subbing out, and the guys just weren't doing a very good job. And I was struggling with them pretty much every snow to get it done and get it done right. And it was just a pain in the ass. And on that last snow, the huge snow event, they actually bailed out towards the end and didn't finish it up. And I had to rob guys from other accounts to get it finished up. And so I talked with them, and I decided that it was best for our company to let that sub go. And I just moved all my equipment over to this other big account that we do. And we're doing that one in-house now instead of subbing it out. And it's better for everybody all the way around. Like, it's better for the sub. Actually, once I made the decision to do this, the sub even agreed that, like, hey, it was too much for us. We couldn't handle it. So it's better for them. It's better for us. It's better for my guys. And I'm making the same exact amount of money. We have less stress, less strain on our company because of it. So I guess the point of the story is every single time something bad happens, everybody always freaks out and they see it as a failure and negative. And that does not allow them to see the opportunities that may have arise from this. And everything that happens, whether good or bad, I believe that there's always opportunities. And when one door closes, it's a saying, but it's true, man. When one door closes, one always opens, and you just have to be able to see it. So in this case, I was able to pivot, make a change for my company that benefited us moving forward and worked out better for us moving forward. And it was a win, man. So I turned a loss into a win. And that's what I wanted to bring up. I just feel like a lot of people get into these what ifs, and I dealt with this last night talking to somebody that I'm kind of mentoring, and it's it's always like, well, what if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if that? What if the bad happens? What if the negative happens? And I sit there and I was like, dude, I don't live my life like that. Like, for me, it's what if it does? It's not what if it doesn't. It's what if it does. Like, what if it doesn't? You're living in fear. That's a fear-based thing. That's regret. Like, if you live your life and what if it doesn't, a fear-based thought, then you're always going to have regrets about not taking that experience or that chance, because that's
100%.
What if it doesn't? I'm scared to do this. What if it doesn't work out? Then you're not putting in the effort. You're not taking that chance. You're not betting on yourself. You're not counting on yourself. You're not believing in yourself. You're not seeing if something could work. You're always going to have regrets about that. You're going to look back and say, damn, I wish I would have done that. But if you live from what if it does, like, no matter what if it does, then you're believing in yourself. You're taking that effort. And guess what? Even if it doesn't work out, when you live in what if it does, you can fucking sleep at night. You know that you gave it your all. Like, I would rather take a shot and give something my all and fail, which I don't believe in failure, because I'd still take it and pivot, which is the whole point of the story, and turn it into a positive somehow down the road. But I would rather give something my all and go all in on it and have it not work out than not even try. Because at least then I know that I put all my effort forward.
Yeah, there's a book, John Maxwell wrote a book called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. And, I think the statement that we all grew up with was sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And it's just kind of like, maybe I'll get one, maybe I won't get one. And the perspective is always be happy if you do, have a good attitude if you don't. But, I have 5 kids, and this year I was super excited to coach all my kids, head coach all my kids' basketball teams, because y'all know my youngest son was dealing with leukemia and cancer and all that. And we didn't even know if he's going to be alive, man. And so he came out of that. He's doing great. He's a champ. But he got to play basketball for the first time in his life and actually took his team to the championship, and they won. So that was super cool, right? But one of the things that we teach in basketball is pivoting, right? Because when you're dribbling down the court, anybody who's watching, who's played sports or basketball, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when you're dribbling down the court and you run into opposition, right? And this is your business. We'd call this challenge, right? You run into opposition, you have a decision to make. You can stop right there and you can get angry and you can just throw the ball out of bounds and do something stupid, or you can pivot. And when you have a pivot, that pivot foot allows you, although you're in a spot, it allows you to move around for different perspectives, different options, and you're still headed towards the same direction. You just have to choose a different route now. So that route may have looked like it was you going straight to the basket, but now it might look like it's you passing, or it might look like it's you, shooting a 3-pointer, whatever the situation is. There's a lot more opportunity when you learn to pivot, right? And one of the things I do, I help people who have a dream, or maybe they want to start a business, or they've already started a business and need to scale it. We just had 3 businesses that we launched. We've launched 20 since January. We had 3 that were the identical same business. And they all had this massive time crunch to get some products done by Valentine's Day. And one of the things that I talked to them about was, I really want to, as your coach, I want to see you almost fall on your face in this season. Because what ends up happening, challenges cause you to produce processes or systems, right? Any major business, like you're saying, man, with your company, any major business that's going a certain way, when they hit a challenge, when they hit some type of, season of, whether it's lack or season of plenty, you still have to learn how to deal with that and how to pivot. And those pivot moments are where you came up with better customer service, or you came up with, better administration, or you came up with better bookkeeping, whatever the situation is, it came from challenge, right? Just like muscle gain comes from resistance. And for me, I had to learn in my life, failure is not an identity. Failure is an event. And even though I may have failed at that, I failed at that moment. That doesn't mean the next time I come around to it, I'm not going to know how to do it. What I choose to do is exactly what I was saying earlier with John Maxwell is I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to let this failure be an educator, and I'm going to take whatever pieces I can. And one of the things that I teach a lot of my companies is we call them opportunities. Exactly what you just said, Tyler. What are the opportunities that we can gain from this, which ultimately is a better word of saying, how did we screw up and how can we not do it again? Right. So if it's a relationship, if it's the way I handle my son or my daughter, if it's the way I speak to my wife, if it's the way I'm dealing with a colleague or an employee, and maybe it went the wrong way, the question I ask myself is how can I look at this and gain a perspective of opportunity for growth? So the next time I'm able to go a different direction and pivot from it. And man, pivoting is, everybody can pivot. It's just perspective. It's how you handle challenge. It's how you look at things. Man, when my son was in the hospital and the doctors came and they said he's not going to make it to Friday, I didn't go, oh my God, and just start crying and ball up in the fetal position. I asked the nurses, what do you need to see in order for this not to be the situation, not to be the outcome? And they said, well, this is what we want to see. And so I said, all right, well, that's what we're going to pray for. That's what we're going to believe for. That's what we're going to speak and confess. And we saw those things because we chose to take that adversity as an opportunity to just believe in something bigger than ourselves, man. So I think what you're talking about today, the people who are listening, they can really gain from this if they'll apply it to their life.
Man, I just had I was texting Tyler last night. We won't call it a failure, but we'll call it a lesson learning because I've been toying with direct mail for a while. Obviously.
Hey, I did tell you the last time I did it, it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was talking to my marketing guy and we were talking about when someone opts in for my free guide or my lead magnet, they get a text message and that works pretty well. You get automatic text. I've even started experimenting with like somebody calling them, making sure they got the guide and then trying to get them on a sales call from there. But my marketing guy was telling me that direct mail is making a big comeback. And I'd been told this idea for like a year. So I sent out 10,000 mailers. It was like almost $8,000, thinking there was going to be this huge influx of calls, and they went out Friday. And I checked with my marketing guy, and he said, we're tracking it. We have a QR code, and like literally 7 people have visited the website based on those 10,000 flyers going out. So now I'm like, of course, it's much easier to say, well, stay positive and learn your lesson. But at the same time, you have kind of that thing in your gut that's like, oh man, it almost makes me sick. I could have spent that $8,000 on Facebook ads or like
an outdoor kitchen for your pool.
An outdoor jacuzzi. Yeah, and just knowing that it fell flat. Yeah. But now I am thinking like, all right, well, how can I use this as an opportunity? And I haven't come up with a plan yet. Maybe it's just still early. I don't think that's the case. But at the end of the day, I would rather spend the money and then figure out, oh, that doesn't work, and move on and do what does work and focus my efforts on that, than either to continue think about it, wondering if that is the way I should have gone, or even worse, lose the $8,000 and then just like give up on marketing and give up on being an entrepreneur and just like, oh, this isn't for me. It's like you said, I don't feel like I'm a failure. It's just, okay, I tried this thing. It fucking sucked, and I'm not going to do it again. So what can I do to see some type of return moving forward?
Well, and you know how it is, even with Facebook. You can write an ad and put it out there, and it just bomb. You don't give up on Facebook. You just go back and go, I need to change my copy, right? Maybe the verbiage I used was wrong. And you keep making those small tweaks until it actually lands. You're getting the conversion rate you want. You're getting the leads. You're getting them converted. And I think it's the same way in life. You could go out and date and go, oh, that girl sucked, I'm never dating again. But you just tweak things. Same thing with lifting. Same thing with anything. You've got to take every opportunity that seems to be working against you and say, okay, I'm going to use this as a way to better myself. I think it was Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Edison, that when he was asked about all his attempts at making the light bulb, I think it was like over 2,000 tries, he failed.
It was like 10,000, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And they asked him, what does it feel like to fail, that many times? And he said, basically, I didn't fail that many times. I just found that it didn't work that many times, right? I found all these solutions that didn't work until it got me to this solution. And that perspective, man, that outlook on life will take somebody so much further. And especially guys that are watching who obviously this is the Dads Who Lift podcast, but when you're dealing with a child, you're a dad, you're a father, right? You're a leader, and you're dealing with a kid and you're trying something and it's not working. So you just push harder the same method or the same way. If you're not careful, you can damage a relationship, right? You can break the spirit of that son or that daughter. But if you find a way to go, okay, my approach maybe didn't work right, let me try a new approach, right? Or let me surround myself with the right tools, because that's the other key, man. And you guys know it. If you had a goal to get to a certain physique, you don't just go online and go, let me Google how to do it. You bring someone into your corner, right? You bring a coach, you bring supplements, you bring, you might adjust your calendar, you might adjust your time. You might devote another hour and a half a day in the gym. Either way, you're going to make major pivots to get you in that direction. And really, that's what a pivot does. It shifts your direction, right? You're heading this way. And, like Tyler was saying, that door just closed. So I'm going to turn, I'm going to head this way. Oh, that door closed. And eventually you get good at learning which doors to go through. And it creates patterns. Say that again.
I said, sometimes you got to close the door too. Sometimes it doesn't close on its own, man. That's something that's important to.
Man, that'll preach right there, man. That's for sure.
Yep.
I think it's like,
yeah, you've got to learn to do that.
Pivoted, they'd still be around, but you see the companies.
Yeah, exactly.
You see the companies that refuse to pivot, and they feel like that they haven't figured out, and things aren't going to change, and they never last.
Bro, Blockbuster was one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Blockbuster's gone, man. I mean, no more Be Kind Rewind is happening anymore in the world, right? Netflix took them out.
Yep.
And it's going to happen with a lot more companies, man. It really will. It will happen with a lot more companies. And it's funny you talked about direct mail, because I've got a friend who has I'll send you his contact information. Phenomenal direct mail company. And one of the things he was talking about was like he shifted from all of his online digital marketing, went back to the archaic direct mail. And I was like, man, this is crazy. And he said, no, listen, I'm telling you, you've got to make that adjustment. It's coming back. You got to mint. And a lot of it is a mindset adjustment, right? It's like, I don't know if you've noticed people are wearing Doc Martens again. Like, what the heck, man? I haven't worn Doc Martens since like junior high, right? Like everything in styles coming, 20 years ago, and people are having to make those shifts. It took me forever to shift to skinny jeans.
Bringing the mullet back.
Bro, you got it, man. But I think with anything in life, you can't be set in your ways. You've got to be set that you'll do whatever it takes to keep progressing forward, right? And if that means you got to make a change, when it comes to leadership, man, you're the ceiling of your organization. You're the ceiling of your family. You're the ceiling of a relationship. If I'm not willing to grow and expand and change, then I put a cap over anybody that's underneath my leadership. And so I've got to make pivots. I've got to make changes. I've got to grow. I've got to expand. I've got to evolve. And I read a quote the other day that said, you can either evolve or you can revolve. Right. So either you're going to grow from it and change, or you're just going to keep circling around the same thing. And I would rather evolve than revolve when it comes to challenges and storms and whatever you're dealing with in life. So I'm growing, man, just listening and talking about this topic today, man. I appreciate you bringing it up, Tyler.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to point out too, like with that Edison example, he said that those weren't failures, those 10,000 light bulbs or whatever, 10,000 basically no's it didn't work. But
that's right.
Every time it didn't work, he pivoted, tried something else. And those 10,000 fails got him to the one that did work.
That's right.
It wasn't like
just chips away.
Shit, these are all just failures. Like those were all, every single pivot got him a little bit closer, even though it took 10,000 fucking pivots. Every single pivot got him a little bit closer to the goal, which the end goal was success.
Yeah, man. Bro, I could tell you a really cool story. I was dealing with someone really close to me who was like on life support, and all their families around the bed, and everybody's praying, and everybody's just like, we don't want him to die. And this guy came in. He was like a pastor, like a traveling evangelist. He came in, and I pulled him aside, and I was like, man, we've been all in here just kind of being positive, praying, just believing for a miracle for this guy. And all of them, it's like they've lost hope. It's almost like they've given up because they're not seeing any results. And he said something to me, man, I'll never forget, because I've used it in almost every aspect of my life. He said, Caleb, sometimes, somebody will hit a rock and you'll just see it crack, and it's like, wow, that was a powerful hit. He said, but what you don't realize is that they may have been hitting on that rock hundreds of times. And you may have come in on that one hit, and you may have seen it at that one hit, but every hit is making a small fracture. Every hit is making a difference. Every hit is getting it to that point to where eventually it will crack and it will be accomplished the way you want it to. And so, you may feel like maybe you're watching and you're chipping away at something. Maybe it's that business you're starting. Maybe it's that relationship. Maybe it's just your own personal struggles, addiction, right? Maybe you're in a battle of losing weight and getting fit, and it seems like it's just not happening fast enough. It seems like it's not happening the way you want it to. I would just tell you the same thing that guy told me. Every time you're hitting and chipping away at it, it's making, even if it's a small fracture, it's getting you closer to that thing breaking off of you and being able to see that accomplished before your eyes. And so I think you just stick with it, man. You don't give up. You have that bulldog tenacity. I'm not going to quit. I won't be defeated. I won't be denied. If one door closes, I'll find another door. If there's not a door, I'll build one, right? Like I'll do whatever I have to do to get what I need, and I will succeed. And that's like those confessions, bro. You just manifest that. You say it. 100%. You speak it.
And when you get into that mentality, man, like you can't lose. You can't.
That's right.
You're always going to win. Because it doesn't
and it's not arrogant, it's confidence.
Like when you're in the mentality of like, I've got one path, this is what I'm going to do. if this doesn't work out, I'm fucked, or like, this is my only, I got a straight line and that's it. The straight line down this road, that's the only way I'm going to go to success. That's not how success works, dude. Success is zigzag, this way, that way,
Go
upside down, backwards, forward, a million times to get to success. It's not how it works. So when you have that mentality, like you just said, of like, hey man, a door closes, one's going to be open, or I'm going to find one that's open, or I'm going to fucking build one that's open. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I need to do. I'm going to knock one down that's closed. It doesn't matter. Like, that makes that expands your universe and your possibilities so much more, to where you cannot fail. That's how I feel about my coaching. That's when people tell me I'm crazy for starting this venture and like putting as much into it as I am and changing as much of my life as I am for this. And they're all, oh, everybody's just, what if it doesn't work? What if that? It's like, dude, it's going to work. I don't care. Like, I don't see it as one door to walk through to get this to work. Like, I got a million doors. If that door doesn't work, I'll go over to this door. We'll try that door, and then we'll try that door. And I guarantee you, every single door I try, I'm moving a little bit forward,
Yeah, man.
What it's going to work. When you have that mindset, it's a different mindset, man. You're not limited anymore. Your possibilities are endless, and no matter what, you're going to succeed. Like, the success might not look exactly how you think it's going to in the end.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you it's going to work out how it's supposed to, and it's going to be better, and you're probably going to be happier anyways.
Yep. And bro, I would encourage anybody who's watching, find people that can dream with you at the same level in which you dream, because, Tyler, I know you on a personal level. I know where you're headed, and I've never once even thought, what if it doesn't work? My process has been, bro, this is going to be amazing. How cool is this going to be when you're doing this? And and it's because, you can have people that can dream and at the same level as you. Some people who doubt your future success is because they don't have the capacity at the moment to dream the way that you're dreaming. And that mindset is huge. You've got to be around people that challenge you, right? People that help you grow and expand. I've got a friend, I remember I went and sat at a conference he was speaking at, and here I was, like, running a business and trying to grow the business. And I was choking financially on trying to get certain advertisements up and going. Man, he gets up on the microphone and he's like, we're fixing to purchase another jet, and we're actually fixing to put a satellite in orbit to run this massive TV network that we're going to own. And I'm going, wait a second, you're putting a satellite in orbit? Like, I can't even afford a billboard that's 50 feet in the air,
right,
and you're going to launch something in outer space. It took my small thinking to go, wow, like, there's something way beyond where I'm at. I need to get around people that are throwing things in space and orbiting things, right? It's like totally different view. And you know how it is, man. You're hanging out in your car and living the life you live until you get into somebody else's car that's nicer and bigger and better. And you go, oh, this is possible. And seeing that possibility can cause you to pivot in your expectation to say, not just I want what they have, but I want a better quality of life than what I have. And it's not that I want to copy somebody, but somebody showed me that there's more available. So I want to go after that, man. And I can tell you this, for me in my life, there were seasons where I was having such a hard time balancing the dream and the family, right? The grind of the business and the need to be there and support my family and have the date nights and have the family nights and take my son out or my daughter out. And it's like, sometimes you drown, or you feel like you're drowning in the grind. But when I had people that I brought in my life, coaches, mentors, started reading books, it helped me pivot my mindset to where my lifestyle then pivoted. And now, man, I can take 3 days off if I need to. I can take 2 weeks off if I need to, because I've been able to change my direction enough to get a quality of life and a financial security that enables me to do that. So it's very much something that comes from a different mindset that you can just pivot anytime you need to, man.
Well, I want to add too, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner and you've taken you have the balls to try to create something, and not only that, support yourself and your family and other people that work for you, chances are you're not the type of person that if it does work out on the first try, you're not going to get bored. You're not going to seek other outside challenges, because there is that feeling when something's not working and you do pivot and you do figure out how to make it work. You get that feeling of satisfaction of like, oh yeah, I figured it out. It didn't come easy to me, but I overcame. I made it happen anyway. And there's really no feeling like that. If it does work out right away, of course, it's going to feel nice on a surface level. I'm making money, I'm impacting lives, and it was easy. But I'm telling you, you are going to get bored. You're going to start digging holes somewhere else in your life to create challenges that aren't there. There's something about facing the challenge on a day-to-day basis that actually makes the fight worth fighting, as opposed to just showing up on a silver plate. That's how I feel. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yeah, I agree. And I want to touch on a couple of things too, and then I'd like to actually get into that. Was a good cameo into your program, Caleb.
Sure.
But one of the things I want to touch on that you said that I think is really important is that possibilities are derived around, how do I say this? What is truly possible in your life is what you believe is possible in your life. What you believe is possible in your life is shaped upon who you keep around you and what you see in your life. And so if I see Joel, coaching, making $100 million a year, which isn't the case yet.
Soon.
If I see Joel coaching, making $100 million a year, then to me, it's more accessible that I can coach and make $100 million a year. If I see somebody else doing it, I'm like, oh man, they can do that. How did they do that? Then I can do that,? And so basically it's like, if somebody else is doing it, it's possible. It's out there. And so if it's possible and it's out there, you can do it too. You just got to figure out how to do it. But the biggest way to figure out how to do it, or the starting point to figuring out how to do it, is believing that you can do it. And that only comes from keeping positive mindset people around you, like keeping a positive circle around you. And like Caleb said, keeping people around you that, or at the very minimum, dreaming at your same level, if not, and probably better, if they're dreaming above your level.
Yeah, man.
So that was something huge that I wanted to touch on. I can't remember the second one.
Well, I want to say, based on that, it's funny you say that, because I remember when I first started fitness coaching and I was charging like a couple $100. And of course, if someone's only paying you a couple $100, they're not very invested. You're not very invested. You can only give them so much,
right? But
more people will sign on. So now you're even more spread apart. And it wasn't until I bought a couple $1,000 program, hearing the guy that he was where I ultimately wanted to be, and he has like his sales calls recorded. It has him closing at like thousands of dollars. It wasn't until I actually heard him doing it where that flip switched in my head was like, oh wow, this guy's doing it. That means I could do it. Not only that, he's telling me and showing me exactly how he's doing it. So that is just another testament to having mentors, investing in yourself as far as coaching goes, and just keeping a positive community around you.
I remember what I was going to say. So the other point that I was going to make is that, we talk a lot about business. We talk a lot about coaching because that's what's going on right now in our lives. And that's what all three of us do here. We're all entrepreneurs. We're all coaches. But this pivoting deal, like I pivot in every aspect of my life on a daily basis, every single aspect on a daily basis. And I think most people do, whether you realize that or not. But you can pivot with raising your children. You pivot with being a husband or a boyfriend. You pivot in the gym. You have a chest day and your chest wasn't very fucking sore the next day. It's time to pivot. Maybe you need to change your routine up a little bit. If you notice that, hey, I'm doing the same fucking workouts every day and I'm not getting any stronger, the weight's not increasing, it's time to pivot and change out your workout. You realize that, every single time I address my son this way, I get this result, and this result isn't the result that I want. It's time to pivot and address your child a different direction. Every time I talk to my wife this way, I get the result, this same fucking result. We have the same argument, and it's not the argument that I want. It's not it's not what I want in my life or in my relationship. It's time to pivot and address that situation in a different way or a different light, or even look at and see that situation in a different light. So pivoting could be and is with every single thing in your life. There's always an opportunity to pivot. You're never, I guess, to me, the whole point of pivot and where I see a lot of people get stuck is like, there's endless amounts of opportunity. You're never at a wall. A lot of people feel like they run themselves into a corner. They're stuck. Like this happens or that happens, or, my marriage is failing, or, my kid hates me, or, I lost this account, or whatever it may be. In every aspect of your life, people feel like, oh man, I'm in this place. I'm in this corner. I've hit a wall. There's just nowhere to go. And that's not the case. That's never the case. There's always somewhere to go. You have to step outside of that situation, step outside of yourself, and see a different perspective of whatever that situation is, and ask yourself, what are my choices here? What are my opportunities? What are my possibilities? What are the possibilities? Like, where can this go, negative or positive? And then you choose the best one and you move forward. You decide to move through that door. Yeah, so I just want to throw that out.
Yeah, the power of questions you ask yourself.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting the desired result? What has to change? Okay, if I change that, what are the best 2 or 3 split test options I could try out, see what happens? What's the worst case scenario if it doesn't work? What's the best case scenario? You just have to ask yourself the questions, because if it's just, was that a failure? Should I give up? If that's the questions you're asking yourself, they're just not high quality enough questions.
Yeah.
You have to be analytical and see, where you can go from there, because you're 100% right. There's always places to go.
And make sure that you're not making fear-based choices. Like, make opportunity choices. Look from a place of opportunity, not a place of fear. Does that make sense? Or step towards.
No, that's really good.
Not a place of fear. Like I said, I would much rather live my life in a state of, rather than a state of what if it doesn't work, a state of what if it does work. Because what if it doesn't work, I've got everything to lose. What if it does work, I've got everything to gain. It's just a perspective change. So, but I wanted to get into this opportunity with Caleb too. So Caleb's coached me in the past. He's an amazing coach, amazing mentor, just amazing guy in general. I mean, husband, father, 5 kids. I mean, he's out there doing it, man, running companies.
He helps coach all my clients too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He's Joel's mindset coach, helps him coach all Joel's clients as well. Anybody that goes through Joel's program gets Caleb as well. And just been a true blessing to me in my life, man. Anytime I need something, even, on a personal level as well, man, I appreciate you in my life. And
absolutely, man.
So Caleb's reaching out and he is helping entrepreneurs, and hopefully I don't murder this. You can go into it a lot more.
No, yeah, you're good.
But he's helping entrepreneurs that either want to start companies that haven't started companies, or guys that have started companies but lack the balance in running a company and growing a company, do that and move forward. And it's more centered on family entrepreneurs. So that's why it's so great with this podcast and the Dads Who Lift group. But it's more centered on entrepreneurs. Basically, how do I start a company, blow up a company, scale a company, but balance my family life at the same time?
Yeah, man.
And with as many kids as he's got, he's become a pro at it, So why don't you go into a little bit about what you got to offer, man?
No, yeah, man, I appreciate the kind words. I have not arrived at where I want to be, but I'm definitely on my way and much better than I used to be. There's 2 times when I sit with people, either they've got a dream and they don't know how to get it out, or they thought they were in their dream and it seems like a nightmare and they don't know how to take it to a new level. So again, that entrepreneur spirit, of I want to go out and start something. I want to take it to the next level. But what seems to be the mindset of people is, for me to start this, I have to stop this, right? For me to scale my business, I have to work more and not be at home, right? So I got to be at the office more and be with my family less. And it's not true. It's really not true. It is what happens to a lot of people, but it's not true. There is a way. And everybody who comes to me, most of my clients will say, I don't know how to balance my business and my life. So I've actually got an event coming up at the end of this month, February 22nd, 23rd. It's called Business and Life Live. You can go to businessandlifelive.com. It's going to be a 2-day event where we're going to be talking about those exact things. But man, hopefully anybody who goes to that site, what they'll get out of those events is something you can take with you. But man, I would love to walk with you through your journey of either starting that business or scaling that business. Because ultimately, and you guys know this, it's really easy to make six figures. It really is. It's very easy to make six figures. When you're stuck at making 25,000, 30,000 a year, you can't even dream like, oh, what would I do with six figures? Six figures is simple, right? It's the multiple six figures, getting into the seven figures that people think, oh, that's only for a certain class of people. It's not true. You can live the dream, have the money, and let it supply the lifestyle that you want so you can invest in the people you love. And it works, man. And so over these 2 days, what I'm going to do, and this is what I would say to anybody who's watching, like if you really think about your life right now, if you were to keep going the direction you're going, the way that you're going, are you going to be happy with where you are in 6 months? Right? Are you going to be happy with where your marriage is, your kids are, your business, where it arrives a year from now, 2 years from now? When you have to close your doors, when you keep working that miserable 9-to-5 job that you hate, that causes you to go home stressed out, you're going to have to make a pivot. You're going to have to make a change. And look, if you go to businessandlifelive.com, it's a very affordable pivot. It's $97, right? It's like a $1,500 value, $97. Get a ticket. We only have, I think a couple dozen tickets left. So get them now when you can. If not, then wait for the next event that's coming up. But you've got to be able to balance. And I'm a true believer that you should have multiple streams of income, passive income that's working for you so that you can live the life you want. Because retirement's not when you stop working. Retirement is when your assets can fund your lifestyle. And that's what we help people do. Set up from the get-go to succeed. And I could talk for hours about this, but just go to businessandlifelive.com. And let's stop being frustrated. Let's stop living the hell that we don't like and get into some of the heaven that we do want. And it's possible. So 2 days, February 22nd, 23rd, businessandlifelive.com.
Love it, brother.
Businessandlifelive.com. I don't want to pick on any listeners, but if you're thinking about starting an online business, or you have started an online business and you're not doing six figures yet and you're stuck, and $97 is detouring you from getting the help you need, then
You don't want it bad enough.
then you might as well just
quit
ask
now.
your job for ask your boss for your job back, because it really is a no-brainer. It's like we talked about earlier. If nothing else, if it were just a luncheon and everyone eating lunch together and getting to know each other, being around other successful entrepreneurs alone is worth 10 times that. Mm-hmm. So not only that, but hearing the experience and the training Caleb's going to give, $97. I mean, Jesus. I waste that literally on a daily basis for shit I don't need.
Yeah. You're going to have multiple speakers there too, aren't you?
Yeah. At this event, we will. And then we've got another event coming up a little bit later where we'll have some really big keynote speakers that'll be there to help.
Nice.
But man, more than anything, it'll be casual, a lot of one-on-one talks. And then, man, I'm very approachable and attainable. My God, I'll give you my cell phone number. We can have our own event, just you and me over the phone, right? Like you can call me, contact me. But we will have other speakers there and people who are doing it and have seen the results. And man, I'm really excited. I got a book coming out the next month, which is one of the things that I teach people on the most, which is calendar hacking. And this is the tool that got me back my life, got me back my wife, got me back my kids, tripled my income. And it all was what was happening in the calendar of my phone. And so we'll be talking about some of those things at this event. And like Joel just said, man, I've spent $15,000 to go sit with somebody in a room for a couple hours just because it was that valuable and important to me. I've paid people $30,000, $40,000 to walk with me for, 10 weeks, 12 weeks through different things because I'm worth it. I remember when I even joined Joel's program, and I was telling him when he gave me the price, I could tell it was like, is he in? Does he agree with the price? And to me, I was like, dude, I'm worth, 5 times that. I'm valuable. And I don't say that arrogantly, but I know because a lot of people depend on me. My wife depends on me. My children depend on me. If I'm not willing to make an investment in myself, then what I'm really saying is I'm not willing to invest in my marriage. I'm not willing to invest in my family. I'm not willing to invest in my career. And so, dude, I've got TVs over my mantle that cost more than coaching programs that I've paid for.
Right.
And those don't do nothing for me, but just waste my time. Right.
Right.
I mean, I had 30,000 in a Can-Am side-by-side that sat in my garage and just collected dust. At least you could put $97 in a ticket to come and get a different perspective on how to pivot.
I just dropped $8,000 on getting my nuts slammed in the door.
Hey man, I will say that I'm no marketing expert, but when you're talking like actual mailers, I know it takes a few times to get in front of people before they usually fucking call.
Yeah, it's true.
But you'd think out of 10,000.
You're hitting a different market though, because like normally your normal shit is all online.
Yeah.
So when you're hitting you're usually not even marketing to this area when it's online.
Right.
You know? So this is like the first time that a lot of these people ever saw you.
Yeah.
So I think what fucked up is you did the personal one instead of the regular one that was only like $2,800. So it ended up costing you $8,000, you know, to get it out sooner. I get it. But if you did like, you could have done like 3 of those 2,800 ones for like the same price, got in front of those same people like 3 different times, and then I think you would probably get some results.
I'm wondering if I should have just put my phone number on there too, because instead it's like, go to my website, key your information in, get the training, schedule a call. Whereas like we all know the more steps there are, the less people are going to do it. So and
I'm going to send you a contact, dude. I got a guy who's doing some phenomenal direct mailing stuff, dude. Super creative.
See what
I'll send it to you.
Pivot.
That's right, man.
Pivot.
That could be y'all's next tattoo. You can put pivot somewhere.
There you go.
I'm running out of room.
There you go.
Put it on your forehead.
My full neck.
Put it on your lip, like right there.
Pivot to my neck.
On your lip.
So, all right, man. Well, thank you for coming on, Caleb. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
If you guys are looking for a coach, looking to start a business, scale a business, blow a business up, need to balance a business, get a hold of Caleb. Go to the website. What is that one more time?
businessandlifelive.com.
businessandlifelive.com says it all in the name. So, all right, man. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
This has been another episode of the Dads Who Live podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate everything. Appreciate your support. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We do this stuff for free, guys. We want to grow organically. We're not doing any ads, any sponsors, anything like that. So really all we ask is that you just tell a friend. Tell one friend, they'll tell a friend, they'll tell a friend. That's how this thing grows and move forward. If you got anything good from it, a perspective, a laugh, anything valuable, that's what we're trying to do here, is just add value to you for free. Just give us a like, share, 5-star review, tell a friend. We really appreciate it. We are on, so we have a website, all the podcast formats are on the website, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, all the stuff. We also have apparel as well for Dads Who Lift Official on www.dadswholiftofficial.com. We are on Instagram, Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on podcast, we're on Facebook as Dads Who Lift Podcast. And then we have a Facebook group. It's a group on Facebook of like 42,000, I think, almost now. 42,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be fit, growth-minded, and the best versions of themselves every day. If that's something that interests you, they also like to fuck around and goof off too and have some fun. It's a pretty fun group. So that's something that interests you. Check that out. That's Dads Who Lift Official, again, on Facebook, and that's a group. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Make a good pivot today, and have a good one.
It's forever, you know, this like forever, no surrender. It's forever, you know, this like forever. I bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive. I bigger dead than alive, dead than alive. Yeah, I bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive.